What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining Real Migos. We are going a solo Migo today. That's partly my fault. I was actually supposed to be in Orlando all week doing family stuff. I got invited to be on a panel talking about YouTube and fun stuff for realtors. So I was out in Orlando for that, and we had to come back early. So Ian's not here today. Sorry for that. We were going to go every other week for a couple weeks. So it's kind of a last minute thing. Where's everybody tuned in from? Eric, Round Rock, what's up? Everybody's in Austin. Man, so today I actually wanted to go through, I got some cool stuff happening today. I found some articles that I want to go over. One is actually really, really cool. A lot of people are worried about what's happening in the market. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. Try to get this 30 to 45 minutes. So not the longest live stream today. I apologize for that. Again, like I said, kind of like a last minute thing, but where's everybody coming in from? It's good to see you. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. Haven't even taken a shower yet. It's 3 p.m. and I've been hit the ground running since getting in last night, but let's roll. All right, so the market, what's happening right now? So real quick, just kind of what I've been seeing in the market right now. Everybody's kind of been on vacation for the last couple months. Everybody's starting to come back. And yes, here's an Ian Sock Puppet, good one. Oh man, that's a good one. Hold on, let me get this rolling here. Let me take this off. Sorry. Mark's comment right here. So I have a Ian, and here we go. Oh, I like this one. I wanted a contract in March and feel I overpaid. Yeah, we'll talk about that too, because that's something I want to talk about. So a lot of people are worried about what's happening in the market right now. Really, we had a lot of inventory hit all at once, plus rates and all that fun stuff. You've heard the stories. I've seen a lot of movement over the last week. I know personally we had multiple clients coming in town in Austin that all went under contract over the last week. All my listings are getting tons of showings right now and stuff starting to go under contract. Right now we were at, let me pop this up here. Let me see if I can get a better. Is that better? No. What's that? That better? No. Man, I'm not good at this today. Sorry. It's hard doing these things solo. But what I noticed, if we look at about how many homes are actually on the market right now. So if you look, we still had quite a bit. Let me refresh this. All right. So if we look at this, we had 1,100 homes hit the market last week, 1,800 price decreases, which is still a lot. Still stuff coming off the market here. We had a decent amount of pendings, which was nice. What I did notice, though, is that the number of homes currently on the market is starting to drop a little bit, which is good. A little bit. I didn't say a lot of it. So if we look at this, this is how many homes are currently on the market. It did get up to about 10,500 over the weekend. So look, 10,245 is still a lot. But here's what's crazy about that. If we look at the numbers, so if you look at last month, which was June, the numbers dropped from, what did I say, 567 down to 515, 615, about $53,000 drop. If you look at this number right here, this is the July's numbers. Now, we didn't have very many closings this is Austin only, less than 1,000, which is still more than July 2019. If you look, that's 943. But what I noticed, though, is that this number here bounced up quite a bit. What's interesting, though, is if you look at what's actually list price was $659 for the median for Austin. And it's 653 is the median close. So less. So people are getting off, below list price on properties. I know the buyers that we're putting under contract, we've been offering less plus incentives. So that's helpful. But this is quite a bit higher. Now, I said last week on the live stream with Ian that I'm seeing that the number should come out in about 5 days. But what's interesting is that this number is still, let's say it's 20 grand less than this number, because for whatever reason, they put out a different number than what I pull from MLS, whatever. But let's say this is still 635, right? About 20 grand less than what I'm posting. That's still a pretty big jump from June to July. So I think people might be pretty sad when prices don't actually go down for July. So, all right. So let's see what we got. Clayton says, I saw an interesting thread on Reddit asking what is your breaking point for moving away from Austin? Ooh, that would actually be a good video. Thank you, Clayton. I'm going to have to look at that. My breaking point was the schools. I've said that several times on here. I couldn't do it. I mean, the schools have done some just crazy things in Austin, so I had to move for that reason. So, been in contract since February 2021. Cabinet supposedly going in this week. Dang. So that still means the cabinet's hit this week, Mark. You're still at least 60 days away, depending on the builder. That's rough. Mark, have you already locked in on your interest rate? I'm curious to know that. People are buying more fancy homes. It's true. Yeah, Joe is asking you what builder, Mark. Okay, so here's what I want to show you today, and I think this is a really Sitterly. So Mark, in the comments, would you recommend Sitterly to anybody that's looking and put in like a price range of what you're looking at? So, say I would or wouldn't do Sitterly and what price range you're looking at for what you're buying in, because I think that's good. He locked in. Cool. All right. I love this back and forth. All right. So I really wanted to go over this article that I saw, and I think it really illustrates kind of what I'm seeing in the market and what we're seeing going forward, because I think that's the biggest thing. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen next. So this article came out through Yahoo. I think Fortune put it out as well, but it was an interview with Robert Schiller. It says Robert Schiller predicted the 2008 housing bubble. Here is his call for 2022. I found this to be a really interesting article because you have a lot of people in the industry like myself who are saying, no, the market's not crashing. A lot of realtors, obviously, because again, the biggest complaint most people have is that realtors sell home, they make commissions, so they're protecting their commissions. I get it, but that's not why we do it. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm looking at fundamentals. What's great about this is that this article does break down the fundamentals of why people are not saying the market's crashing and what Robert Schiller is saying. So it's a very interesting article. So if you feel you overpaid, which was that comment earlier, this is a really good article to look at, because I think, it might help or make you feel worse about that purchase. But let me share my screen here. Okay, so this article says, where'd I go? Okay, so Jaden, good spot for you to start clip. Robert Schiller predicted the 2008 housing bubble. Here is his 2022 call. Robert Schiller released a book in 2000 titled Irrational Exuberance. Basically, this guy called the 2000 tech bubble boom. He called the 2008 crash, and he predicted that as well. He says as the pandemic housing boom, he has pushed, again, not very much sleep. As a pandemic housing boom, which has pushed up U.S. home prices to 42% over the past year, fizzles out. It raises question, does Schiller think we're in another housing bubble? On Sunday, Schiller spoke to Yahoo Finance. Home prices haven't fallen since 2007-2009 recession. Right now, things look almost as bad, Schiller said. Existing home sales are down. Permits are down. So that's one thing that's really important, is permits are down. We had a lot of people saying the market's going to crash because permits were up and people were building. But as Mark has already stated in this live stream, Mark can't even get his cabinets in, and he's been under contract since February 2021. But what they're saying is permits are down. A lot of signs that we'll see something. It may not be as catastrophic, but it's time to consider that. And I think this is where I've been a little bit different than most of my colleagues. Somebody commented this the other day. For a long time, I was very, very bullish on what was happening in the housing market, basically because I was seeing what was happening with the offers and everything. I've been pretty consistent in saying that we are slowing down, that we're going to see a leveling. I think we're finally into that leveling, but we're still year over year up in prices. So I think this is going to persist. And even in this article kind of says what I've been saying a little bit. Not that this article is, validation of what I've been saying, but I thought it was a good article. So here's what he says. A drop in home prices, Schiller says, looks very possible. That's in a backwardation. Can't even say that word. Prices are expected to fall by something like over 10% by 2024, 2025. That's a good estimate, Schiller said. The risks are heightening right now for buying a home. While national home prices declines are rare, they do occur on occasion. It happened in the 80s, 90s, and in 2008. However, 10% declines, like Schiller suggests, are very rare. Only the Great Depression and Great Recession have seen price cuts of that magnitude. If that 10% home price reduction actually manifests a pandemic, housing boom will likely be remembered as a housing bubble. So I think it's really important to take on what, or listen to what happens next year, because I think there's some really good information here. Let's see what the comments look like. Yes, we locked. Citterly has been awesome. Price range between 350 and 7. That's a pretty big. Ours is around 500. Most of the delays have been due to labor schedule. And that was the biggest issue that I've seen. Sorry, I'm reading the comments here. Most of the delays have been with labor, and that's what I've seen. Especially, we just closed a couple new builds a week ago. All labor stuff. So that's one thing that's pretty interesting too. As we look at this article and look at these articles about Austin, I have a couple other articles I want to show. There's an article that just came out. We're at 2.5% unemployment rate, which is below where we were pre-pandemic here in the Austin area. Now, the biggest problem Austin's facing is we have a lot of open jobs, but people aren't moving here. So that's one of the biggest things, is we need more people to move to Austin, but we're not necessarily affordable for most people. So I think that's, why a lot of people are down on Austin or not happy with Austin, is that affordability problem. Tell me in the comments if you think I'm right or wrong on that. But let's continue with the article here. Let me bring it back up. Boom. So, so basically there's three elements to a housing bubble. And I think this is really, really important, and why I haven't been fully into the we're going to crash mode is because there's some things that I'm not seeing that people have seen, that we've seen in crashes in the past. So this, if you don't know who Case Schiller is, or Case Schiller is two people, but Schiller, they put out all these graphs and kind of a lot of information about the market and kind of past data. So, they're pretty reputable in that regard. So the first element is speculation. A textbook housing bubble will see a swarm of investors and speculators rush in to chase soaring home price appreciation. That's something that we saw a lot. And it was something we saw a lot in the Austin market, especially. Not only did home flippers return, but investors also saw their share of single family home prices rise to a record level. Home builders got carried away too. Demand was so fierce that builders decided they didn't need to wait on buyers. And this is the biggest problem that we saw, is that a lot of these builders started building, they started putting stuff under contract, and then they slowed down what they were selling and just put a bunch of inventory properties. And this is basically what they say here too. In industry, these homes are known as spec homes, meaning speculative homes. I think that's the biggest problem. I just went in and I did a video that came out yesterday, and I met with Highland Homes. Now, I was talking to the reps before I did that video, and Highland was basically saying, like, yeah, we didn't do that, so we're not having the problem a lot of these builders have. They only have like 10 homes available in that specific neighborhood. Whereas if you look at the other builders, they have like 20 homes available. So pretty interesting there. Speculation check, overvaluation check. So yeah, the second element is overvaluation. A lot of people have said that Austin's overvalued. I would argue that Austin is almost valued at where it needs to be. I think Austin has been undervalued for so long. Now that people are moving here in such mass, now it looks overvalued, but I think it's really just caught up to where it should be. That's me personally. You could agree or disagree with me. Drop a comment on that one. Housing bubble sees home prices go far beyond what incomes historically would support. We're already at that point. That's according to separate studies included by researchers CoreLogic, Moody's Analytics, Florida Analytic University. I think somebody from ABOR, which is Austin Board of Realtors, came out refuting that Florida Atlantic University. I think they had said that we were overvalued. So there was I'll find that article. So speculation check, overvaluation check, but we don't have the third element, here we go. But we don't have but we still don't have the third element, a busting bubble. If home prices don't plummet, it isn't a housing bubble. While Schiller thinks a double-digit decline in the housing prices is possible, many in the industry don't agree. What's interesting is that if you look at the June numbers, June dropped was like $53,000 in the Austin market, which means it was really like a like an 8.5% decrease. So if we were really close to getting that 10%. If the numbers bounce back up in July, like I'm predicting, we're going away from that decrease. And so there's so many channels out there saying the market's crashing, but they're not following what's actually happening. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, what do you think? I saw our friend, I didn't watch the video, but said that BlackRock and them were selling off all their homes. And I don't know where he got that data. I haven't seen the video. So if you know, drop a comment. While Schiller thinks a double-digit decline in home prices is possible, many in the industry don't agree. Over the coming year, home prices are expected to rise. That's according to forecast models by Mortgage Bankers Association, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, CoreLogic, and Zillow. Meanwhile, modest home price declines are currently being forecasted by John Burns Real Estate Consulting, Capital Economics, Zelman and Associates, and Zonda. Why do some industry insiders think that price declines are unlikely? For starters, the country outlawed the subprime mortgages that we saw that killed the market. In 2008. Not to mention homeowners are less debt burdened this time around. That's something that's interesting too, because we had a lot, if you look at a lot of the models, they show that we had the most like equity over the longest amount of time. And now that equity is depreciating with inflation. So we are getting close to that gap closing again. If you look at those, why do some industry insiders think home prices decline are unlikely? Oh, we got that part. Faint decline, not to mention less burdened. There's another reason some firms refuse to get bearish on home prices, a historic underlying undersupply of homes. Our economists have been chiming in for this for a while. The market is slowing down, but homes aren't getting cheaper anytime soon. Price growth will slow, flatten. That's what I've been saying. When compared to the breakneck start of the year, the lack of supply is a fundamental pressure that will keep values aloft. That's something I've been saying for a while. I just don't think prices in Austin are going to drop that much, because as we start to look at some of the articles I have, there's a lot of jobs still coming to Austin. So I just don't see that those prices are going to be coming down, because there still will be demand. If you look at the rental market's stupid right now. But let's finish this up. Our economists have been chiming in for this a bit. The market is slowing down. Our economists have been chiming in on this for a bit now. The market is slowing down, but homes haven't been getting any cheaper. Price growth will flatten, but the lack of supply is this fundamental pressure that will keep values aloft. I just said that. In the eyes of housing bears, like firms like Zillow, are underestimating the possibility of oversupply. In their view, there are chances. Here we go. There are chances all those spec homes under construction could see markets like Atlanta, Austin, Dallas get oversupplied in 2023. If that happens, it would be a downward pressure on home prices. And I think that's what we've seen, why we saw prices drop so much in the Austin area over the last month, is specifically because we have had so much inventory that has been hitting. So interesting. I want to hear your thoughts on that. I'm going to pop back in the comments here. Sorry for not coming back to supply chain issues. Yeah. So Joe says supply chain issues seem to have been corrected. It's the skilled labor. There's still supply chain issues. They're just not as bad as they were. But the supply for getting people to build homes has definitely been a problem. I mean, we just closed one. The floors are all scratched up. Just getting the flooring company to come back and fix the floors has been a nightmare. What is considered affordable in Austin? I'm from California. Under $400K for a 2,000 square foot home seems affordable to me. What do you think? I mean, I think you're right. I think there's still, but you're going to be further out. 400K is going to get you like a 1993 home out in Cedar Park. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? The unemployment numbers is deceiving because so many dropped from the system. This is one thing that's pretty interesting too about that, is that a lot of those companies, instead of doing layoffs, they just stopped hiring. So a lot of people think that we're going to have mass layoffs. We did a video about Oracle dropping prices or firing people, but it was like 12 out of everybody in Austin. So it wasn't really as big as people thought it was going to be. When you have a couple $100K in equity from your sold home in California, Austin is affordable. That's partly why prices have jumped up. I've helped a lot of people from California. I've helped a lot of people from Seattle, New York, and they're able to afford more than the average person. But on the flip side of that, if you've owned a home for 4 or 5 years and you saw a 250,000 price increase over 2 years, you have a lot of equity. And so one of the articles I've shared a while ago was the fact that we had so much equity in the Austin area. Only like 1.7% of homes were actually underwater. So it's not as much. When you were from California without equity, I think we got that. Liberty Hill, Joe's correct. So yeah, I think, moving forward in the Austin area, I don't think we're going to see 15%, 20% price increases, but I do think what we're going to see is a lot of this new build inventory is going to get gobbled up over the next few months. I've already talked to so many builders that are slowing down building. So as long as builders continue to slow down, we'll see prices really flatten out. If builders flood the market with inventory, then we should see prices come down. That's just my anticipation. What do you agree? Agree or disagree on that? I have $500K in equity in my Cali home that I got in 2017. That is quite insane. Yeah. Joe says the burbs are booming because 35 to 45 minute commute is nothing to someone in California. I mean, I lived in San Diego and it was like a 45-minute drive to work every day. So 30 minutes is not that bad. All right, I want to show you some other articles that I have because I think there's some interesting things happening in Austin. This might change some people's minds about what's happening, but maybe not. So real quick, I want to show you so that was the Fortune magazine. Let's just clear this crap out. Yeah, so looking at numbers though, I think we're still going to be well over. So we start going to see homes sell more homes sell in July than we did in 2019. And days on market, I think was like 16 versus 29 on here. So it's pretty interesting. Austin chart, what do I have? That. Okay, so here's what's interesting. So you have another Samsung supplier. God, these freaking ads. How do you get these ads out? Valex wants to set up 190 square foot. Son of a bitch, get out of here. California-based company making components used in semiconductor products seems to be gearing up to open up a facility in Austin. They're looking to occupy 191 square foot in North Park 35 industrial area. This is going to bring, I think it said about 100 jobs to the Austin area, but this would be, but it wouldn't be here till 2023. So a lot of the jobs that are coming to Austin still aren't here. So if we look at this, I mean, here's another 100 jobs. I announced the other day that we had, this is Titan North Building temporarily closed. I announced the other day that we had, I didn't announce, but I read an article on on my Instagram that if you're not following me on Instagram, you really should. I put out a lot of like small clips of stuff like this and what we talk about. But Samsung's looking to drop another 191 billion into the Austin area. So you have a lot of companies that maybe weren't moving here only for Tesla to support Tesla, but they're moving here to support Samsung as well. So there's still a lot of companies moving here. I mean, there's this one. This is a cool one. So Buda is going to get 4 Hands. So 4 Hands is a really nice furniture company here in the Austin area. So 4 Hands is going to be taking their, what is it? What is it? So they're going to take 50 employees and their distribution headquarters is going to be in the Buda area, which is nice. I'm really high on Buda. I'm really high on Kyle still, but this is going to bring more jobs to that area. This is really cool because I like 4 Hands. So it's nice that they're there's a lot of businesses that went out of business during the pandemic. So I like that 4 Hands is still going to be there and they're growing. BAE is going to bring another 100 employees. I mean, what was it saying here? Their average income was going to be, so BAE Systems, if you don't know BAE, they do have space here, but they're aerospace and defense contractor. They already do have businesses here, but they're going to open another $150 million campus on Palmer. I mean, that's just more money dropping into the Austin area. It's crazy how much money is dropping in the Austin area. I think they were saying like jobs start like 70 grand a year or something like that. Where did I see that? Yeah, there's already 700 employees currently here. So they're bringing another 100 employees, which is crazy. And then another company, a fuel company, World's largest industrial gas supplier details proposed facility near Samsung plant. So we have all of and this is going to be another $11 million property. They're looking for $11 million in property tax incentives. But this is going to bring another, I think they only said like 5 employees. So if you look, there's the location next to Taylor. So, I mean, you still have so many businesses like this coming into the Austin area. So I just don't see the Austin area crashing and burning like a lot of people think it is. I do think that we have issues. Affordability is the biggest issue that I'm still, Austin's trying to get under control, but they don't really have a good way to do it. And a lot of it has to do with just the building codes. Is Hutto still affordable? That's a great question. I'll pull that up. I agree with Joe. 45 minutes is nothing. What's up, Lucas? What's up? What's up, Jeremy? You need to share to everyone. Here, let me read this. What's up, Jeremy? You need to share to everyone what some of these builders are doing. Crazy how in a couple of weeks prices are down 40K. You know, what's really interesting. So I'm going to do a video, and I don't want to give too much away, but one of our clients that's under contract with a builder, I don't want to say who, just negotiated. So we're under contract. They're supposed to close in another month or two. We actually negotiated down the price after being under contract. So we basically say, hey, we're gonna back out and we're gonna go find another property because things are a little bit cheaper. And we were able to renegotiate the price. Has anybody in the chat, I want to hear from you, been able to renegotiate their new build contract? Because it's not something that happens very often. And Janie on my team, so I have myself, my wife's buyer's agent, and I have 2 other agents, Patrick and Janie. Janie has a client that's been under contract, and they were able to negotiate down, which is amazing. Don't want to say who it was, wink, wink. But that's pretty spectacular, and I'm glad Janie was able to do that. So let's see. Don't worry about affordability. A single family rental boom is coming. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that I think a lot of these people are saying the market's going to crash. They don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the fact that we have more. So the median buyer age is 33. So if you think about it, we have more millennials coming into the 33 buying age right now. Yes, things are less affordable. Yes, it's tougher for them to purchase. We have more of those buying age people coming in, which is still going to push up rental prices. And we've seen that. You know, we've done a couple videos about affordability, rentals. People got upset with me because they hate landlords. Look, I mean, you got to hate somebody, I guess. In fact, Janie's texting me right now. Good evening from Florida. Kevin, I was just in Orlando. I just flew back like last night. If Austin's getting expensive, I see people from Austin moving to the suburbs. And I think that's what you're seeing too, is the median for the suburbs in Austin is about 537,000. I don't know what it'll be for July, if it's going to come back up to 550 or drop. I would imagine it's going to, I would imagine it's going to come back up over 537. If I'm already predicting that the Austin numbers are going to come up, the city of Austin numbers, I really do predict that the suburb number, so the MSA, is going to pop back up and be closer to 550 again. So I think people are going to be pretty shocked, and I will be super shocked if prices come down. I really will, because I'm looking at the numbers, I just don't see it happening. Right here, I'm working at Janie right now. She's awesome. Yep. Janie is pretty awesome. And thanks for working with us. And Janie's amazing. Okay. So do builders really lower prices, or do they just give more incentives? So this is really important. So I just put a client under contract in San Marcos. Should I say the home builder? Maybe I shouldn't say the home builder. Okay. I just put a client under contract with a builder in San Marcos. They were offering 20,000 incentives for using their lender to basically buy down rate. What's interesting is I said, well, hey, let me ask you a question. Can we negotiate on price? And they're like, well, you can send us an offer. We shot over a pretty aggressive offer to the builder. They countered back at a well below list price. So I think what you're seeing is, if you're going to go into a new build right now and you're working with a good realtor, me, Janie, somebody, I would recommend that you go in, take them in there, and then go, we're really interested, but I'm going to let you talk to my realtor, and then have your agent go in there and come up with a plan on how much incentives you want to ask for, and then how much you want off the price. Now, that's on like inventory homes, right? So homes that they've already spec'd out. On to be built, I know they're giving I was just at Highland. I did a video that dropped yesterday on Highland, and it was pretty interesting talking with them. They've slashed prices on a lot of theirs about $100,000. But if you think about it, a lot of them were just predicting out a number, a pretend number. And now that the market's come down a little bit, they're bringing those prices down. And I was in the sales office, and people were coming in wanting to buy homes still at Parton Ranch, which those are about $1 million homes in Parton Ranch. So pretty interesting. 2019 median price was 350, now 550 plus. Well, it's 550, no crash, but more realistic pricing. I think that's a problem. I think a lot of these builders were really, really, really unrealistic in what they were pricing things going forward. And, working with sellers right now, like I said, I'm working with a lot of seller clients right now. We're having to be really realistic about where we price homes, because what happens is a lot of people think that the prices are just going to keep going up from January to December. They go up to about June, July, they level off, come down, and then come back up slightly. So I think a lot of people were just pricing on this. And then also, I did a whole video about FOMO. I think people were just really like, oh, I got to get as much money as I can. So things were pricing really high. I think had we not seen as much inventory, they probably would have got those prices, but all this inventory hit. So thanks for the comment. Mario, the wages in Austin have not kept up with home prices. It's like 8 times the median. Man, it's really interesting because I don't find really good data on this. If you have really, really good data or a really, really good source, send me the source. My email, jeremy@austinitehomes.com or homes@austinitehomes.com. If you find an article that really goes into depth at how much wages have gone up or haven't gone up, I'd really be interested in that, because I think it's interesting because I've seen a lot of people renegotiate their wages over the last year. So I'd be curious to see how accurate that really is, because when I see stuff like that, I really don't know how accurate it is. So I appreciate the comment, Mario. This is a great channel. Thanks, man. Any new fab companies in between Austin and San Antonio, like Micron? So I think Micron is going to be closer to Hutto is where they're looking at. There's a lot of stuff going in. In fact, you know who's in town right now? You guys will never guess who's in town. Let me tell you. Mark Wahlberg is in town. He was working out this morning at F40. So he owns F40. There was some news about some layoffs. And so Mark Wahlberg is in town right now. How I know that? Let's just say I know some people that worked out with Mark Wahlberg this morning. Wasn't me. Otherwise, I would be showing you tons of pictures. But so interesting. Lucas, what's up, man? Good to see you. Love Lucas. May have been talking about Lucas here recently. Would you consider this a buyer's market at this point, now that some builders are desperate to put people under contract? Heard 6+ weeks. Look, they've always said that once you, and I think this is an old adage, once you get to 6 months inventory, that's when it's an even market. I think that's an old adage. I really do think once you get to a 3-month inventory, that's when it's more of a buyer's market. Sellers are still going to get a decent price for their homes, but buyers have a lot more control. So I think, when the numbers come out for June or for July, I really do think that we're probably going to hit 3 months inventory. I really, really do. So technically, I think it's a buyer's market right now. I think buyers have more control. If this inventory drops off significantly in November, which it typically drops off pretty well in November, if it drops off significantly, yes. If it doesn't, it holds around. I think we'll be back into a pretty strong buyer's market. But I agree with the comment there. I really do think we're close to it. Yeah, that's old info. I don't know what old info we're talking about, but I'm sure it's old. Phoenix is the first market taking a big hit. I don't think it is. I saw somebody saying that, but then I looked at the numbers and they weren't as high. Heard 6 months inventory equals a buyer's market. So that's what I was just saying. 6 months. Where's Mark working out tomorrow? F40. Go find an F40. He'll be there. F45, whatever it is. He'll be there tomorrow. He works at every day. There's a bunch of them. So the one I think he was at was in Westlake. Not really sure. So I think the 6 month is old news. I really do. I think it's going to be more 3 months is more of a buyer's market. That's been my opinion, because 2019 was more of a buyer's market, even though people were saying it was a seller's market. And you'll hear realtors say that too, right? I'm a realtor, right? I'm a realtor. So, but I think realtors use that. Look, it's a seller's market. It's a seller's market because the old adage has always been, if you're a realtor, having more listings is listing to last. I think that's an old adage. So everybody's going after listings. They're calling up expires, withdrawals, trying to get these people to relist their homes with them. And, look, realtors are number 2 above lawyers for least trusted profession. So I get why people hate me so much, but I'm trying to help people. This whole channel is trying to help people. I'm not asking for business, just trying to help people. But there you go. So people might not get the best price right now. I agree with that. But if you plan to stay in the home 10 plus years, it should be a no-brainer. This is exactly what I've been saying. So many people can blame me or say that I'm telling people just to buy homes recklessly. I have been pretty consistent in telling people, don't buy a home if you're just going to live in it for a year, 2 years. What happened from people that bought homes in 2019 or 2020 and saw this huge rocket ship of prices, that probably will never happen again for maybe another 30, 40 years. That's going to take another crazy pandemic. But I would say if you're going to be buying, really buy with a 5-year buying plan. Like, what I'm saying? Like, don't buy and think you're going to sell in 2 years. Buy it and know, okay, rental rates are like this right now. So in 2 years, if I have to move out of this home, I can rent it out and still have make the payment on it. And I think that's what happened with a lot of these investors that are buying right now. All these investors came in and bought really speculatively. And now that rental rates are coming back up, a lot of these investors are starting to get their money back. Does the new U.S. chip incentive bill help Austin? This is a video I should have made, Mark. I dropped the ball on this one. I've been so freaking busy. I saw this and I was like, damn, this is really going to help Austin a lot, especially if Samsung's building here. More of these chip making plants are coming here. Think about it. If you're building chips or you're building Teslas or you're building a product, you still need other companies to help facilitate you making those, right? So you have, forget the term of it, but it's like tier 1 or tier 2 suppliers. You still need those suppliers. So it's really interesting to me that with Tesla coming here, I helped a company that supplied the paint. We're looking at commercial properties with them to supply the paint for them. So I think there's a lot of stuff to happen. Phoenix is seeing prices level and sellers are giving credit, but remember, it's a heavy investor saturated area. Totally agree with this. This is Lone Star, your home buying advocate. Where are you at, Lone Star? Obviously Lone Star's Texas, but where are you located at? But investor saturated area, just like DFW. I'm seeing it here. So here's DFW. Closing 5 in September will have concessions. Yeah, let's see. All my buyers that are under contract have concessions right now that have gone under contract recently. So even in the luxury market, we offered pretty fair price and went under contract. The original list price of this home was like 1.8 million. We were way under that. There you go. Janie, I don't know where he's working out tomorrow. I'll ask Meredith and see. My friend almost broke her knee trying to impress Mark Wahlberg today. But all right, that's pretty much all I had today. I just wanted to go over kind of some of the things I'm saying. I don't think that the Austin market is going to see as huge of a decline as a lot of people are saying. I think the person that wrote the comment earlier that they bought in March, I think if you're holding on to your home for 4 or 5 years, buying in March isn't going to be much of a big deal. Oh, that's a great point. Let me bring this up. That's actually a great point. So the person that said buying in March felt like they overpaid. Let me show you something here. That's actually really good. Let me bring this up. So here's my chart that I've been making. So if you look at the prices for March median price was 524. Now everybody's seeing this, 624. Now everybody's seeing this 615 number in June. I really do feel that the prices in July are going to bounce back. So when they do, and they come out about 625 to 630, maybe 635, you're going to be like, oh, okay, it's not as bad as I thought. So keep in mind, I think prices will bounce up a little bit, and then they'll probably flatten the rest of this year. I think what we see in this 2019 model right here, where we started at 353 and ended up only $52,000 over at 405. I think that's what we see. I think we see prices at 650 and we end the year at probably like 625. I don't know. I've been all over the place on that. I said several things on that. I still think it's going to be above 6. Thanks, Jeremy. Yep. There you go. Well, cool. I appreciate everybody for joining. If you have any more questions, definitely hit up the chats in the other videos. If you have any information you need from me, Jeremy and Austin Knight Homes, we'll catch you in the next video. What should I put out for next week's video? Drop a comment on that because I got to film that today or tomorrow. So we'll see you. Thanks again.